Hey, welcome to my next Let's Play of Final Fantasy, 2. Okay, I'll explain that, but, no, Final Fantasy 4, for the Super Nintendo, and, unlike, King's Quest 8, this is actually a game people remember pretty well, I think. But, you know, this was, a game that was really important to me, growing up. So I figured, what the heck, I'll give it a shot. Um, and we're playing by emulator, so I'll probably end up kind of futzing around with the controls a bit. Um, just getting used to them. But anyway, I guess we're starting up right away. I guess it skips the save screen when you first play your first game. That kind of makes sense. Just get right into it. So the original Final Fantasy IV is kind of known for having an iffy translation, so it's something to be aware of when you read the dialogue. Personally, it was one of those things that never really bothered me, or I don't know, maybe it's just because I got used to it when I was like 10, but it never struck me as all that weird. So this charming fellow by the name of Cecil is going to be our protagonist, and we can see that he is not necessarily the nicest of people. And hopefully, this is enough time to read all the dialogue. I'm never quite sure how long I should leave these on the screen, but you know. Even though we just did it. So I'm not actually in the driver's seat for these first few battles. I don't really know why they're here. I think it has something to do with changes made to the American version of the game. It probably made more sense in the original version. I don't think you ever use the items that he uses during the actual game, which I think because I think they were taken out of this version. So it's a little bit weird, but you know. that mode 7. Fancy. Or at least it was fancy back in the day. Okay, yeah, the translation is definitely spotty in places. What are you trying to say? I can't understand you through the bad translation. Aren't you a douchebag? Well, that isn't suspicious sounding or anything. Did he actually say that? Yeah, talk to all NPCs. Alright, I believe we are in control. Okay, let's see. So let's, goes to the menu. And I can go through, I can poke around. I think I pretty much got it here. Okay. I don't know if if I ought to go around and talk to every single person. You're so whiny, Cecil. I mean, Final Fantasy protagonists aren't supposed to be like that for another 3 games or so. In case you forgot where your room is, Cecil. All the people. Every single one. Let's see. I don't think there are that many people with, it's kind of out of nowhere. Treasure your life. As if I didn't already. As much as I love this game, I probably am going to be poking fun of it through most of the game. You know, that's how it goes. Anyway, let's see. Probably can just kind of talk to people as we pass by them. I'm not going to scour the whole castle. And of course, as is tradition, we loot our own castle. Why wouldn't we? Let's see. We probably don't need to punch over this way. To the left tower. No, that's the wrong way. It's been a while since I've been around here. Not that anyone's actually going to do anything about it. And we're off. So one by one we are introduced to the game's core cast, like this guy. If you know anything at all about Final Fantasy, you probably already have an idea about what Cid's deal is. Apparently, Cecil filled in the plot in that empty space. It's kind of weird, like they blanked it out or something. I don't know. They could have had like a line of narration or something. I guess they didn't really have that much space to work with for dialogue in those days. You guys seem awfully surprised that a nation would use powerful technology as a weapon of war. I mean, kinda should have seen this one coming. Before we move on, let's visit the prison. I guess this was kind of just to assure you that the hero didn't actually murder anybody. I don't know. Come on, I can't talk to him until he walks this way. So anyway, when we had a moment, I was going to explain the whole Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 4 thing. If you don't know, back in when Final Fantasy was new, they decided not to port Final Fantasy 2, the original one for the NES, over to America. And they also didn't port Final Fantasy 3 over. So in the United States, this game was the second Final Fantasy game that they saw in the US. So they just named it Final Fantasy 2. They named Final Fantasy 6 Final Fantasy 3 because they didn't port 5 over to America. And then when they got to Final Fantasy 7, they just decided to call it Final Fantasy 7, leaving a tangle of confusion for future generations to figure out after people kind of got into the series more in the States. But yeah, I just call it Final Fantasy 4 because that's what it is. I also could have gotten the Game Boy Advance version or even the 3D DS version, both of which have improved translations. But I decided that I wanted to go with the original that I played when I was a kid, so you can experience the exact same game that I played when I was in elementary school and stuff. Although it doesn't come with the any of the save games from the previous owner whose garage sale I bought it from, so it's not exactly the same experience. But, you know, close enough. By the way, is he sleeping in full armor? I guess it kind of sucks when each character gets only one sprite. And it just sucks so much for me. Ouch. Nothing bad will happen, it's just a routine visit to the neighboring town. It's not like we're in the opening of an RPG or anything. What could possibly go wrong? Alright, so now we are officially in the driver's seat. So, we'll drop down by the city of Baron, see what there is to find. Yeah. I've been to this dance more than once. I think I'll be fine. Oh, hey. It's the relative of an important character. Who knows those actually exist? Also, apparently Rose is really bad at keeping secrets. I mean, I guess we didn't explicitly tell her not to immediately talk about it to the first person she spoke to, but... Okay, maybe there's not going to be much for us to buy here if the armor and weapon shop is locked. I'm not really in the habit of using items in RPGs, it's just kind of one of my habits. Oh my god, the king is a Sith. I like to rely more on magic for healing. I'm just kind of, I hate using stuff that runs out. I like things I can replenish my supply of, like magic. It's good that NPCs will just randomly say useful things like that. And then there's this interesting NPC. Yeah, this is kind of weird. Apparently in the Japanese version, she takes her dress off. Nintendo of America was kind of down on that kind of thing, which you can kind of understand that. I have no idea why she's there. It's kind of strange, but maybe this is just the corner of town where you'd find prostitutes. I mean, it's kind of secluded and out of the way, so it seems like it would fit. Other points of interest, the inn for hurt. Item shop, it's got a vase. What's in here? Oh yeah, Serpent Road. There's actually quite a lot of things. Well, that's anticlimactic. A lot of things in Baron aren't actually going to become relevant to the plot until quite a bit later, and aren't really worth worrying about. Like, this is also locked. There's a lot of conspicuously locked areas in Baron. It's one of those places. Hi, it's Sid. Alright. Sorry, but you're not important enough to get a unique sprite. And I think one thing we ought to do before we go is make sure to loot as many pots in here as we can. Thanks to text space saving efforts, a lot of things in this game have different names. For example, Fire, Fyra, and Fyraga are called Fire 1, Fire 2, and Fire 3 instead. That's general sort of thing. And I think a lot of the items have the same names as spells, like Cure 1 is the name of both a spell and a healing item. much. Let's see. Do we have any real supplies other than just what we found in chests and pots? Not really. But I think I'll be fine. If my foolishness ends up getting me killed, I guess, you know, that's how it goes. Thanks to the unanimous vote of the one person I asked, I'm not going to be cutting out any grinding or anything. It'll all be on camera. Unless I kind of really run out of things to talk about, which is a possibility. I'm probably just going to, you know, if I need to stop and grind or it takes me a while to go through dungeons, you know, I'll just find something to chat about. So as you can see, we have a party of two dudes. The protagonist, Cecil, and his friend Kane, both with kind of unexciting weapons like spear and, okay, I guess that is kind of exciting, shadow sword. Also a lot going into space saving. Items tend to have very short names, and instead of the name of the weapon, it's just a symbol, like the spear symbol, the hat symbol. I couldn't identify this for the longest time, but I think that's supposed to be like a breastplate. It looks kind of like some kind of alien squid, like from, geez, I'm blanking on what that one game is. With, you know, the alien that kidnaps, you know, whatever. It's not important. Anyway, both of them are pretty much just physical attackers. There's nothing too interesting about them. We don't get to magic for a little bit. I think we should have plenty of time to go through the dungeon. First dungeon in the game, and that'll probably be the first episode is dungeon and then plot, and then it'll be good. So this game uses the ATB system. It's quasi-real-time. Later games will show you kind of the bar for each character, but basically each character has kind of a bar that fills up, and when it gets full, it becomes their turn, and the better your speed is. Hold on, I should actually save. Did I save? I think I saved once. Let's save again, just to be sure. And so each character kind of takes their turns, depending on how you set it, and I should actually check up on that. Custom. Some games will actually stop and wait, like stop the combat while you're navigating a menu. Other games won't. But if you have it, which I don't think this game has the option to change the settings. So while you're navigating menus, the enemies will actually be charging up and getting ready to attack you. So you can't just, it's not like a traditional turn-based style of RPG where you can kind of leave the room. The game will actually, battles will continue while you're idling, so you really do want to kind of keep an eye and act fairly swiftly. I'm not the biggest fan of the ATB system, just because I like being able to stop and think, and I really don't think it's fair to make it so that, what's the word? To make time pass while you're navigating a menu. That seems a little unfair. If I was gonna try and make it like quasi-real-time like this, I would really want to streamline it more. Traditional RPGs are very menu-based. It's kind of a very slowish, more turn-based, geared towards turn-based action than the kind of live sort of thing that the ATB system has. I guess it's just an attempt to make the game more dynamic, and it's not bad. It's just not entirely my thing. Especially in this game where you're not really told like how close someone is to taking a turn or performing their action. But it works fine. Just not hugely my preference. Also, although it does help to pause the action while you're poking through a menu, at that point I kind of question if it's all that different than a traditional turn-based system, other than the fact that you have to wait a few seconds in between things happening. But, you know, it's a relatively minor complaint. When you get right down to it, other than the fact that you kind of have to think on your feet, ATV really isn't all that different from a traditional turn-based system. So, the things you can do in combat generally are, of course, hit things, and other characters will have different abilities. From the start, the one that's going to stand out between your two... Did I miss that chest? Hold on, no I didn't. The one that's going to stand out is Kane's jump ability. Basically, his jump allows you to take a longer turn. In fact, I'll demonstrate it. Basically, he kind of leaves the battlefield for a while, and it takes longer than normal, but it does extra damage. For normal enemies, it's not really worth doing, but it's against most bosses where Kane is involved, you're probably going to spend most of the game just having him jump on enemies. It's pretty much what he does, is just you know, delivering the DPS with the jump ability. Another thing is that it can kind of mess with weird things in weird ways when he's constantly leaving the battle. It's relatively uncommon, but I think there are, in rare cases, certain times where he can actually be out of battle when enemies hit you with certain scripted attacks that are supposed to hit the whole party. I think I've seen it happen, but it's very rare. Usually his jump attack resolves before that happens. But for the most part, it's just a useful... Whoops. I think it just said go back. It's just a useful ability that has some defensive quality in helping to keep Kane alive longer since he's out of combat. It does tend to mean that attacks that hit the whole party do miss him more often, which is kind of useful. He also seems to have higher defense than most people, so when everyone's dropping like flies, Kane tends to be the guy who kind of lives through it all. Apparently this is kind of the boss tutorial where it's like, you know, it's gonna be some shit going down. If you're not ready, you should kind of prepare yourself, but I think I'll do fine. The D in D-Mist stands for dragon, not anything else you might be thinking. This boss basically has one trick and one trick only, is that every once in a while it will dissipate, and then you have to stop attacking for a while. And the one thing you've got to be careful about, especially with, you know, if you set up an attack and then it turns to mist, and then you hit it, you're gonna end up getting smacked. Yeah, it does that. I think that this is basically kind of a tutorial on the ATV system. It kind of teaches you that time does pass while you're sitting there doing nothing. Let's go into a defensive stance. And pretty soon it should... There we go. It's a fairly simple boss. That's really all it's got going for it, is the kind of mist counterattack thing. Other than that, it's relatively simple. I do kind of... One of my pet peeves is how most games don't show you how much health the boss has. I'd vastly prefer it if I could see the boss's health, but, you know, it's a minor thing. I think it's probably about to... trying to time it out so that doesn't... There we go. Okay, see, I got that right. I love this music, too. It was like one of my favorite tunes from when I was a kid. Alright, let's do this. And it's down. And let's see. Sandmans. The enemies you fight early on are pretty much scrubs. There's not much to worry about. Later on, the encounters are going to get pretty hard, though. This is a game that kind of does turn on the difficulty of the random encounters after a while, which can get a little bit exhausting. Uh-oh. That's never a good sign. Ouch. Bet you're feeling like a bit of a tool right now, Cecil. Sometimes I'm not really sure what's going on in Kane's head. I'm not gonna beat up a little girl. I mean, come on. Oh dear. Right, the village of summoners. Kind of forgot that crucial detail, didn't we? Oh dear. Well, that could have gone better. Alright, I think that this is, probably a good place to stop for now. Let's see, trying to think if I should head for the next village first, or just pause here. I think, we'll pick up again, next time. For the first episode, that was pretty good progress. So, next time we will find out where Cecil's journey leads us next now that a landslide has blocked us off from going home. So I will see you then.